This week I have my last section of my interview with Adam Neely. We got into so many cool things that I hope you've enjoyed them so far. And as usual, in the description, you can find hyperlinks to everything that jump around in the video if you like, as well as a link to the t-shirts in case you'd like to support the channel. Please like and subscribe, leave comments. I love talking to you. And here's my conversation with Adam Neely.
Okay, so this is my sideman spiel. You can go from the sublime to the ridiculous very quickly. I was playing, I did a national TV spot, and I hate talking about this because this is the one time I've ever done like a huge thing, and I was a backing musician for just a band on like Live with Kelly and Ryan. And it was really cool. It was like treated like a rock star, and it was like, oh, this is fantastic. And, you know, there was a press and all this stuff. And it was a fantastic experience. And then the next day I played a wedding where we were yelled at for loading in through the front door and said, you must go through the kitchen, but don't damage anything. Go through the kitchen. And we had to like take this long way around, and it was utterly exhausting and took like an hour and a half to load stuff in. And I was like, well, this is what being a musician is, or a sideman specifically, being treated like absolute royalty in one situation and being treated like absolute garbage in the other situation, and realizing that you're getting paid a lot more for being treated like absolute garbage at the wedding gig than the really, really nice gig. You know, it's a sublime to ridiculous every day, which is fun. And I enjoy that like roller coaster of like, wow, this is so ridiculous. This experience is so ridiculous. But that is like what being a sideman is, especially if you're trying to do multiple different kinds of gigs. Like, it can get wacky.
Speaking of that, that reminded me of, I think, the most sideman-y, or the most amount of musician lives I think I lived in a day was one of the last days before I moved from New York. Is in the afternoon I recorded an album for Joey.
Okay.
At a really nice studio, whatever it was.
It was like MSR maybe, or
MSR Studios in Times Square. Gorgeous, everything. Like the rooms are ridiculous. Taking the train over to our apartment, our basement apartment, recording the live album with Justina.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah.
And then switching into a suit and going and playing like an after party at Carnegie Hall for people who had just like played the main room.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty musician-y kind of thing to do, what you just described.
Yeah, it was like there's a lot of different like, all right, so the first session will have food available. The second one, I'm gonna say hi to my roommates. The third one will have very, very good food available.
Yeah, rating the gigs based on the quality of food. It's a good one. You know, there's a certain romanticism. I was talking about that before. A certain romanticism to that kind of like patchwork quilt of musician-y stuff that happens, and especially like when you're in a scene, like, yeah, it's fun. It's very fun. You feel alive when you're doing it. There's no one day is the same. It's exhausting, but at the same time, you are always kept on your toes. And in theory, your musicianship is just like keeps getting better and better. You like are just able to adapt instantly to any situation. And the more you go into it with just an open mind, being like, I'm here, I'm present, I'm trying to do the job, and I'm trying to be the best bass player, best guitarist, or best drummer that I can be. Yeah, it's fun. It's a whole life that I don't want to be part of anymore. Just because it's too exhausting for me now that I'm in my 30s to be running around getting $50 gigs. $300 gigs, sure, why not?
Yeah, I was talking to a professor about that, about different career things, and he's like, oh, well, you know, it's easy to say, oh, I wish I had done something else. And I was like, wait, let me pause right there. I would never take back all of that experience.
No, never. I would do it all again. All the bullshit, I would do it again. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah. I don't like wish I was a banker or something, or like went into whatever.
Yeah, I don't think anybody will have regretted it. I can't imagine anybody will have ever regretted it. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about being a musician is like you go into it knowing that you will never ask what if. You did it and it was fun, it was great, and now it's done. And then it's fine if you choose to move on from music. And I know people who have chosen to move on from music, and they're very happy in their new life. But yeah, like I don't see anybody ever regretting it. That seems weird.
No, it's a very unique experience.
Yeah.
People get told all the time to be a good hang and be a nice, and that's like probably what's going to get you the gig over your chops. And so it's well known. We all know that, etc. What are any other things that you'd recommend in addition to that are like maybe not as important, but like a very close number two?
Being prepared for the gig, I feel like, is a very serious thing. Knowing the music, not being on charts if you can help it. I mean, these are all professional things, like professionally type things, but they go a long way, honestly. Depending on the scene, how you look while you perform can be a big thing. These are all, just very bullshit reasons to get fired, but I'm honestly just trying to struggle. I'm honestly struggling to think of things beyond being a good hang, because that's really the big one. I've never been hired for a gig based on a job application. It's always been because somebody recommended me, and I would never be recommended if I wasn't a good hang. I have auditioned for bands. That's been a thing for open calls. But, when you audition, you want to show that you are not an asshole. Yeah, I mean, showing up prepared is a big one. The idea of, like, especially for auditions, over-preparing, there is no such thing. So over-preparing for gigs, there really isn't such thing if you... I can't imagine what over-preparing would actually be unless the gig wasn't professional. Like, if you show up to a singer-songwriter gig, like knowing everybody's part perfectly and how your part works, and like having all your tones dialed in and like having everything from memory and like programming everything and just showing up ready to like throw down, and the singer doesn't even know their own song, which that's something that's definitely happened quite a few times. And then you have to teach their song to them, and they don't like that. And then that's like, they get annoyed and pissed that you're doing that. And they say that you have an ego, and then you get fired. That's not a professional situation. That's not the gig that you want. So that's not being over-prepared. That's just having a bad gig. I don't know. What about you? What's a thing, you, Elliott? I'm going to interview you. What's a thing besides being a good hang that's important?
This would be as obvious as be fun to be around. Don't smell.
Oh, shit. That's a good one.
Like,
yeah.
Like, brush your teeth. Like, it's not, bad breath happens or whatever like that, but like, shower once a day, brush your teeth.
I've been very guilty of that in the past. So that's
both
a
of
very
us
good
definitely have pictures from like 2010, 2011 of us at gigs where we look kind of like shit. Or like it's our like leftover button down from like high school when we went to nice things, and except it's a gig now, so we're wearing the button down, and then you're just like, that doesn't look that good.
No,
that doesn't.
There's some really, really like not raunchy, but just bad looks that I had back in the day. I think
your affinity for loafers.
Oh my God, yeah, those did not look good at all. Oh Lord. Linda DeFuria, a friend of ours we used to play in her band, posted something on Instagram of like a gig we did in, I don't know, sometime at some point. And just the way I looked was just so bad, man. Like, know how to look on a stage. Like the jazz.
Were you wearing your jazz hat?
No, thank God. I was not wearing the jazz hat. It was just like... Yeah, being aware of that, I think, is important, because honestly, when you're playing music, you're putting on a performance, you're putting on a show, and the visual, people hear with their eyes more than they hear with their ears, and that's across every genre of music. Hearing with your eyes instead of your ears is a huge part of how you come across as a musician, as a performer. So if it's, knowing how you look on stage. And
that doesn't mean you have to look like dapper. But just like
it's
be
also
aware of what you look like, and be understand that it is fine.
Yeah, it's also just like body language too. Sometimes, like I just kind of like am swaying back and forth in this like weird way, and I don't know. I'll maybe have some self-image issues sometimes too. But yeah, how you present yourself is very important on stage, just in life too. Because music is much more than just sound, guys. I think people don't quite realize that, especially if you're going to music school. Music is way more than just sound. Music is how it looks too, and which is why you have all these Instagram guitarists who create really cool sounding things, but they also are very, very smart in how they present themselves in an image, and also how the parts they're playing look, and how the parts they're playing like look across a fingerboard. Like that's important. That's how you keep engaged. If you just posted an audio file of, Polyphia or whatever, it sounded cool. But part of the reason why Polyphia is because, Tim Henson does his Tim Henson-y thing, and he's all Tim Henson-y, and that's why the music is the way that it is. And I feel like people think that that's beneath them, but that's not really beneath you. Nothing is beneath you if you're trying to get your music across and trying to study your craft. And sure. Dear Lord, you need to know how you look sometimes. I need to know that on a daily basis for YouTube stuff and YouTube related stuff. And I wish I kind of had somebody pull me aside at some point. And some people did. Some people, I feel like you and Sean said, like, dude, what are you wearing at some point? But
I didn't know you like showering hurt in the winter. So I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I have eczema. So it sometimes hurts sometimes, but no, I should have showered more.
Well, it's not even about showering. Also, like when you hear Americana and whatever the hell, certain songs can evoke a certain, like, you could, if you had to picture something, if someone said, hey, listen to the song, what do you picture? You can bring apart however you probably should look. Like if you, if it is, the more esoteric musician wise it gets, so if it's like prog metal or fusion or something like that, maybe picturing something wild or it's irrelevant. Like just show up in a t-shirt and you're playing such crazy music that it's like, oh, this is maybe more about the music. You play something kind of simple and vibey. It might matter more. Like, to be fair, it matters in like certain genres more, and depending on what you go for. But if your music has an aesthetic to it, then there's your answer of whether or not you should dress a certain way.
Yeah. Even within that, though, there's nothing quite like the musician uniform, which is black t-shirt and jeans, like well-fitting, nice, clean black t-shirt and jeans.
Right.
Goes with everything. Goes with absolutely everything.
Because that's what I'd say for those Dream Theater DVDs I grew up on, where being like, oh, there could just be, t-shirts are fine.
Yeah.
This music is really, there's lots of stuff happening. I'm not really focused on like the emblem on their shirt or something. But then watching Stevie Ray Vaughan and being like, yeah, that feels like this whole thing going on. Like, yeah, that feels right.
Stevie Ray Vaughan in a black t-shirt and jeans probably would not be as Stevie Ray Vaughan. I probably would not think, I don't think, yeah, but it would work. It would work. It would work.
It wouldn't be Texas
cool.
blues.
Yeah.
It would just be like blues.
Yeah. I mean, that's why the musician uniform is so prevalent, because you have side people backing musicians who just need to go from gig to gig to gig. I'm like, oh God, I don't want to like have a different, I don't have costume changes between like 5 and 6 as I'm in the taxi going from like, Mercury Lounge to Midtown or something like that. I'm just going to wear my musician uniform, and then it's fine. And it's great. And nobody ever complains when you wear the musician uniform. In theater, they call it blacks, but it's not blacks. It's the musician uniform, because blacks implies that you have black jeans on, and it's not that. You can wear normal jeans, but black t-shirt.
And that's actually been something that even a lot of people we've played with have been like, how do you want us to dress for the gig? Oh, just, black t-shirt, black jeans, everything like that. And which was really interesting, because not all of those gigs sounded like black shirt, black t-shirt.
Yeah.
There's like, well, you guys are the backing musicians. Just like fade into the background, please. And you're like, all right. Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I've been requested to wear dumb things, and I do a bad job of it every time. My favorite is like when I was requested to wear sunglasses. I'm like, okay,
Because
cool.
your future is so bright.
Yeah, I guess. The band was in sunglasses. I'm like, all right, fine. I've tried to avoid gigs where there's excessive costuming, but, sometimes you kind of have to. You got to play the game.
Yeah. And through that, you do find your lines. I'm really glad that video is off the internet since 2011.
I know what video you're talking about.
Yes. We had to wear white button-down shirts, black dress pants, and then an earring of some sort. But
Elliott in an earring is adorable, guys.
It wasn't
cute.
that. It was that the gig sucked. Started like 4 hours late. It wasn't a gig. It was a spot at an open mic, and it was like a weird, very weird, whatever, like rap open mic.
Yeah.
And then getting $20 less than I was told, and then having to wear an earring, and then the person filming the gig happened to be right on my side of the stage, and I was the first thing in the shot. And then I got emails from several people going, "I saw you on the internet. You're better than this, right?"
Yeah, man. Remember that we did that a lot. We went to open mics a lot to like meet people, right? Which was so cute that we thought that was the way of doing it. But we did a lot of open mics. Cafe Vivaldi was one of them. Mm-hmm. Bar 4 was the name of it, or what was the other one? Mm-hmm. Anyway, there's the Tuesday. Yeah, Bar 4. Yeah, that was funny.
Everyone should go again. If you like David Lynch, if you appreciate absurdity, go to an open mic. I accompanied a friend when I first got to LA because it was like a better than an open mic because they had a really couple cameras or something, and I was like, I don't want to do this, but I'll support you because I like you. And there was a guy super overweight but with a big dragon, what is it? Not Sylvester Stallone. The guy who fights and plays blues. I'm forgetting his name. Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
The big Steven Seagal vibe, ponytail, big red dragon T-shirt, and playing an acoustic guitar, but he is playing hair metal 80s kind of stuff. It's horribly out of tune. He plays half of it, goes, "Oh, wait, I messed up. I'll just start again." And then you're like, this is like a 9-minute epic rock conceptual song. You didn't need to. And then I don't know, the absurdity in that is what makes me smile. Of everywhere else this guy would be booed off the stage, but here it's just part of the community. It's fine.
Have you done many of those So Far Sound gigs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like that's the next. We had they been around in the early 2010s when we were getting started, we've been doing a lot of those because they're for certain musicians, they're like a good gig, even though it's a total scam that should not exist and probably won't exist. But if anybody doesn't know what a So Far Sound is, it's a basically corporatized house party thing. So you get paid I think it's $100 for the artist. So usually the artist will split that with their backing musician. So it's like $50 a piece. Hey, to play for 20 minutes, original music. Hey, that's fun. And then you get alcohol and stuff. Hey, that's great. It's a great deal for the musicians involved. But the amount of money that people have to pay to go to these So Far Sound shows is insane. And none of it is going to the artists besides the $100 that they get paid. And nothing is going to the people who are actually running the event, who are volunteer. So it's a total scam, and it's terrible. But, for musicians, it's fine. The people getting scammed are the people going to the shows.
The people getting scammed, I do appreciate them because the whole purpose of that thing is just listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be respectful and listen. And that part was really neat. Kind of unnerving at the beginning where I'm like, why are they listening? Why are
yeah.
Why don't I need to get their attention? I just have it.
Yeah. Well, it used to be kind of a status symbol to do a So Far Sound show because they would film all of them, and they would there's some degree of curation. So, Leon Lahavas did one, and Bastille, like all of these people who went on to do like really big, have really big careers. And, but then by the time I started doing them, maybe like in 2016 or 2017, the quality control had definitely dipped. So, we'd like Aberdeen did a bunch of them. And, it was kind of crazy to have like these house shows with a bunch of horns and like we're running around. And then just like somebody who could barely keep it together on their guitar singing about, I don't know, but their aesthetic was right on their EPK. So, which is very important,
Do you have an EPK?
I don't. Sungazer has a one sheet, but we never use it because we now have a booking agent, so they take care of that. But when I did have an EPK,
ever use it?
The one sheet, yeah. When we were like first booking independently, but it's an important thing to have for sure, because it's just a place to get all like the press quotes together, and like what it looks like. But I found also that just when you're emailing venues, they only care about how many people you can bring in and like your Spotify statistics, and then maybe kind of like what you sound like, maybe. So if anybody is like looking to do booking in the future, when live music exists again, whenever that happens, tell them truthfully how many people you can bring, what's your draw, and your Spotify statistics. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, what you sound like. It's not that important. It's not that important if you want to.